right now, I'm going to put in a quick little energy forecast because I've got a special guest and I want to get to him very quickly. So let's talk about the energy of today. The energy reading today for October 22nd is about harvest and reward. So the rune is Yira, Yira. And that represents harvest. It represents the reward. So when we harvest, when we sow our seeds and when we nourish the seeds in the ground, and we give them that love and that commitment of the farming. So that's our soul that we're seeding, right? Our souls that we're nourishing. That's what it represents. It's time to harvest. So how do you apply the knowledge of today and the commitment? It is time for us to ascend. It is time for us to take the applied knowledge, the skills, and the research that we have and move them forward and represent ourselves at a heart filled level, at a soulful level. The next rune is Thorizaz, which is protection and luck. And in order to have this protection, we have to work on who we are, be grounded, understand the divine feminine energy right now is coming in. It has come in August 8th. That portal opened up with a divine feminine energy, but we have to stay in balance. And so if you're all over the place with your monkey mind, you're not in balance. The balance is male and female energies, and how do they work in unison? The next one that I have is Suilo. Suilo is about rebirth, and the divine feminine is all about rebirthing that is you and bringing that new knowledge and that ancient wisdom back up. It's like new knowledge. It's something we've known in our lineage, but it is new to us right now. And we are opening up to the divine from our third eye, our higher chakra, our heart chakra are working in unison. And we are aligning that Kundalini energy on the spine, maybe the chi, however you look at that serpentine energy. And we are bringing that serpent back up for the rebirth so we can have success. I will caution you right now, the energy can be heavy. It may feel frustration. You may feel that you have to work through some stubbornness, some tensions. Um, it can lead to legalities in a job or a business that you are working on. But know that those seeds that you have sown and all that work that you have applied to your body, your soul, and your knowledge is becoming rebirth. It's becoming anew, just like a phoenix. Once that phoenix burns, it renews again like a dragon. The fifth dimensional energy is huge right now. The dragon force is coming in. Allow that energy to come in and come through you and just feel that strength and that comfort because the dragons are mothering, the dragons are protecting, and the dragon is love and knowledge and ascension. So understand those beautiful energies right now. If you have any questions, please go to my website, Illuminate Vegas, book a call with me today. If you want a soulful, illuminated energy reading, if you want any healing energies right now, or even a psychic reading, however you look at it, if you need some healing on a psychic level, maybe some psychic surgery, this is the time. We feel the harsh energies. We can feel maybe almost a negative. Some people look at or see a demonic presence. But what we need to understand is all energy and how to clear it. And you need some assistance right now. And I'm here for you, my friends. I am the one to help you lift that energy out, get rid of that energy, and become a nude. And that is another program that I do, my Soulful Coaching. And that helps you align your mind and your soul together and understand if you're having a little bit of a hiccup moving forward. How can you do that? How can you be in your almost your right mind and feel that at a heart-filled level and rise up? So book the discovery call.